Updating breaking news just coming into our newsroom. 2 fugitives wanted by the FBI, including a longtime accused L.A. gang leader, now in custody tonight.
I just need y'all prayers. I need y'all to... I don't even know what to say.
The government is coming down hard on Eugene Big U Henley, and what just happened in court is going to leave him completely shattered. Big U had his bond hearing, and it went exactly how the feds wanted. The judge denied him bail. That means he's staying locked up until trial. And when you hear the potential sentence they're throwing at him, you'll understand why this is such devastating news. For those who don't know, Eugene Big U Henley is a 58-year-old OG from South LA. Standing 6 feet 5 inches with a powerful presence, Big U built himself up as a community leader, philanthropist, and music industry executive. He's the owner of Unique Music and helped launch the careers of some serious West Coast legends like Nipsey Hussle and Kurupt. Big U came up with the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips, one of the most notorious gangs in Los Angeles history. And when I say notorious, I mean it. These dudes have a saying that tells you everything. You ain't a Rollin' 60 till you kill a 60. That's cold-blooded for real. The Rollin' 60s got their name from West 60th Street that runs through their territory in South LA. Over the years, they've grown into one of the largest street gangs, not just in LA, but in the entire country. Big U didn't start the Rollin' 60s, but he was there from jump. In his documentary series Hip Hop Uncovered, he said he was part of the Arlington gang that eventually became part of the Rollin' 60s. "I'm not the one that started it or gave it the name," Henley said. "I'm just in the first generation of it becoming Rollin' 60s. We the babies in that." But this baby grew up quick. By the time the Rollin' 60s got name-dropped in the 1991 classic Boys and the Hood, Big U had already risen through the ranks. In his early days, Big U was out here robbing cars and making serious money. He said in his documentary that he was pulling in tens of thousands of dollars, but when he finally got caught, he had so many cases that authorities wouldn't release him to his mother. She ended up sending him to live with his father in Chicago. Big U went nationwide with his hustle. During the crack epidemic, he was selling drugs in Minnesota, Atlanta, and Chicago, where prices were higher. "We was really landing in cities, taking over blocks," he said. He'd only be in LA for a week or two at a time. In 1992, Big U caught his biggest case. He got busted trying to rob an undercover sheriff's deputy of 33 pounds of cocaine. The court hit him with 23 years, but he served 13 before getting out. Big U claims he changed while locked up. He converted to Islam and says he started planning how to help his community when he got out. "You spend the front part of your life destroying a community, and when I came home, it was about being known as somebody who has helped to heal it and bring it to a better place," Henley said in his Hip Hop Uncovered interview. After prison, Big U founded Developing Options in 2004, focusing on gang intervention and sports programs for kids. This nonprofit eventually received major funding from the city, $2.35 million from the Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program between 2018 and 2023. He built himself up as an advocate for literacy and education, helping young black men attend college. His public image was that of a reformed gangster using his influence for good. But according to federal authorities, that public image was all a front. The FBI began investigating the Rollin' 60s in August 2020, and in 2021, they launched a specific investigation into what they called the Big U enterprise. Last month, Big U was indicted on some seriously heavy charges: racketeering conspiracy, fraud, robbery, extortion, embezzlement, tax evasion, and the big one, murder. Federal prosecutors describe Big U's operation as a mafia-like organization that used his status as an OG to intimidate businesses and individuals throughout LA. The case includes some wild allegations. The murder of Rayshawn Williams, an artist signed to Henley's Unique Music label. Prosecutors say Big U kidnapped and killed Williams over a diss track and left his body in the Las Vegas desert, extorting celebrities and athletes who visited LA, forcing them to check in and sometimes pay for protection, helping collect a $3 million debt owed by an NBA All-Star, extorting tens of thousands from an unlicensed marijuana dispensary, embezzling donations meant for charity, fraudulently obtaining $2.35 million from the city's Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program, Now let's get to what just went down in court. Big U had his bond hearing, and bro, it went bad. The proposed bond package was only $600,000. For comparison, someone named Brick Baby put up $1 million and still got denied bond. So this package wasn't looking good from the jump. Big U's supporters came to court in full force. More than a dozen family members and friends showed up to back him. His attorney, Arturo Hernandez Melendez, who by the way represented serial killer Richard Ramirez back in the day, tried to paint Big U as a peaceful man who's left the gang life behind. Hernandez told the judge the evidence was just innuendos and guesswork. He proposed home confinement with electronic monitoring and noted that family members were putting up millions in property for his release. "You've got to give him a chance," the lawyer pleaded. But Assistant U.S. Attorney Kevin Butler wasn't having it. "This has been defendant's second chance," he fired back. Butler described Big U as the self-professed most dangerous man in Los Angeles and argued that releasing him would make him the most dangerous man to this case because his entire criminal enterprise is based on fear, intimidation, control. Control of the victims, control of enemies, control of witnesses, control of Los Angeles, Butler said. The prosecutor also revealed that the night before his arrest, Big U turned his phones off and fled his home. One potential witness even asked the government, "If you can't even arrest him, how can you promise to keep me safe?" U.S. Magistrate Judge A. Joel Richland wasn't swayed by the defense. He ruled that Big U will remain in jail pending trial. There's no condition or combination of conditions that would reasonably assure Mr. Henley's future appearance at court proceedings or the safety of the community, Richland said. The judge cited a lot of evidence of obstruction of justice and said the indictment was quite extensive. He added, "The court does believe there is substantial evidence, lengthy evidence. This is not innuendo in the indictment." As currently charged, the defendant faces a statutory maximum of well over 600 years in prison. Even discounting his criminal history due to his age, prosecutors say he faces a likely guidelines range of life in prison, based on a total offense level of 43 for count 1 alone. Let that sink in. 600 years. Even if Big U lived to be 120 years old, he'd still have 500 plus years left on his sentence. Charleston White has dropped a shocking new twist, claiming that Aaron the plumber has been in contact with the FBI over threats allegedly made by WAC 100. This revelation adds fuel to the ongoing feud between Aaron and WAC that has been heating up for months.
Charleston White was on the Danza Project, and he reveals that he has information that somebody is working with the FBI and they're snitching on WAC 100.
Charleston White recently said on the Danza Project podcast that the FBI may have contacted a man named Aaron the plumber about threats WAC 100 made on air. White said WAC could be in serious trouble and might even go to jail. This all started at Ray J's house, where Aaron got into a fight with a security guard named Donut. Aaron asked the guard to put down his gun so they could fight fairly, but the guard said no. As Aaron walked away, the guard reportedly spat on his back from about 10 feet away. This highly disrespectful act prompted Aaron to attempt to retaliate, but he was quickly restrained by approximately 3 security guards who removed him from the premises. According to eyewitness accounts, Aaron was so enraged by the disrespect that he was crying while leaving the house and spent time walking around the property trying to find a way back in to confront Donut. Following this humiliating encounter, Aaron reached out to a mutual connection requesting, "Yo, lock me in with WAC 100. Link me up with WAC 100. I want WAC 100 to set up the fade with me and Donut. I can come to Donut's hood. I can come anywhere Donut wants to get it at. I just want to fade with Donut. He disrespected me, and as a man, I need that." A mutual connection, usually uninvolved in street politics, gave Aaron WAC 100's contact info, hoping he could help mediate. At first, talks between Aaron, WAC, Loose Cannon, and Creep were productive, with WAC's side understanding Aaron's position and agreeing to help resolve things. However, things quickly deteriorated when Aaron sent a text message to WAC 100 that read, "Big bro, we waiting on you to tell us what time it is. If he ain't gonna fade, then we gonna get active. I got ninjas mad as F from everywhere ready to step behind me. Bloods, Pirates, even Mexicans. I want my fade, but if I can't get it, somebody got to pay for that. Respectfully, we ain't going for that." WAC 100 interpreted this as an outsider attempting to dictate terms in Los Angeles, which crossed a line for him. In WAC's perspective, someone who is not from LA cannot make calls and shots regarding street matters in the city. What followed was a heated phone conversation that was captured on audio and later circulated online. On a recorded call, WAC 100 was heard making serious threats, saying things like, "You want a fade? Where you at? We're gonna give you your fade," and using strong language towards someone, even mentioning their family. Charleston White, speaking on the Danza Project podcast, said this call got the FBI's attention because the threats were made in public. He claimed he spoke directly with Aaron the plumber, who confirmed that the FBI contacted him about the things WAC said about his mother and kids. The podcast host expressed surprise at White's claim, noting, "I didn't know he was anywhere affiliated to anything in the realm of WAC 100. White clarified that Aaron has ties to Los Angeles and has spent time in either Texas or California prisons, making him either gang-affiliated or gang-associated. White added, "He's from LA. He got into it with one of WAC 100's homeboys, the security guard. He got into it with the security guard who had the gun on him who spit on him." The podcast host then highlighted the seriousness of the spitting incident, stating he would have handled it differently. "Oh, he way better than me, and then you spitting bodily fluids? I'm pressing charges on your mother ass. And then once I press them charges, I'm gonna go get you civilly so I can put a lien on your house." Charleston White's comments were timely, coming just before the feds began investigating other LA podcast figures like Loose Cannon, Brick Baby, and Big U. He predicted these developments, questioning whether law enforcement would continue letting people publicly record assaults without facing consequences. Charleston White also talked about a violent attack that happened outside the No Jumper podcast studio. He said the beating was so bad that it likely got the attention of law enforcement. Charleston White also talked about a violent attack that happened outside the No Jumper podcast studio. He said the beating was so bad that it likely got the attention of law enforcement. They stripped the guy, beat him, kicked him. It was hard to watch, White said. "You think the police saw that video and aren't trying to find a way to charge those people?" He believes the feds have been keeping an eye on the LA podcast scene for a while now because of all the violence being shown publicly. This situation highlights what appears to be a changing dynamic in how conflicts with WAC 100 are being handled. As one commentator noted, "I feel like people have realized that you can't really bully WAC or you can't out-tough WAC because WAC is willing to take it there. Like WAC is willing to go where they're willing to go. So it feels like the new strategy now when it comes to all of WAC's enemies is to snitch and get WAC off the streets. That appears to be the new strategy." The commentator pointed out that trying to get someone sent to jail can be more dangerous than a direct fight. WAC can handle people coming at him, he said, but when people are working behind the scenes to lock you up, that's a whole different level of danger. Still, he wasn't convinced that WAC 100 truly meant to harm Aaron the plumber's family. "I don't think WAC planned to do anything," he said. "It sounded like a heated moment. And honestly, it's been months and no one's been hurt or even messed with." This situation continues to unfold as part of a larger pattern of conflicts and legal troubles involving major figures in the hip-hop podcasting world, with Charleston White presenting himself as an insider with unique insight into how law enforcement handles these cases. Could this be the beginning of a major crackdown on the scene? Share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.
That make a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's not snitching.
No. Now, as far as Brick goes, I think a lot of people were really thrown off and saddened by.
They thought they were walking out, but the judge had other plans. In a courtroom showdown that felt more like a street war than a legal hearing, Brick Baby and Loose Cannon just got hit with a brutal reality check. No bond, no freedom, and no mercy from the judge. Let's get straight to it. Both Brick Baby and Loose Cannon were denied bond. They were confident they'd be released on April 9th because they had strong bond packages. Brick Baby's mom even put up a multi-million-dollar property. However, the judge denied their requests, citing similar reasons, including prior criminal history, potential interference with the legal process, and that the court believes they pose a threat. This doesn't stop them from reapplying for bond, but for now, they remain in custody. Brick Baby's hearing went smoothly, but Loose Cannon's, not so much. There was some serious drama involving a neighborhood OG named Eddie Boy. I want to give you guys both sides, all right. The pro-loose cannon side and the anti-loose cannon side. Eddie Boy was in the courtroom. Apparently, they don't get along. Loose cannon straight up said in court, "Why is Eddie Boy here? I don't mess with him," right in front of everybody. The officers had to step in, telling him Eddie Boy had every right to be there. Court is public. After some back and forth, Loose Cannon finally cooled down. During the hearing, the prosecution brought up Loose Cannon's past charges to argue he was a risk to society. However, Loose Cannon claimed many of those charges weren't his. He said something like, "I didn't go to jail for that. My brother did those crimes." It turns out that Loose Cannon and his brother aren't just siblings. They're actually twins. Not only do they look alike, but they also have strikingly similar names. That's where things took a strange turn. Due to what appears to have been a clerical error in the legal system, the prosecution mistakenly pulled up his brother's criminal record and tried to use it against Loose Cannon in court. In other words, they were holding him accountable for things he never actually did. Now here's where things get tricky. Loose Cannon pointed out the mistake to the court, making it clear that those charges didn't belong to him, but to his twin brother. That correction helped his case, but in certain circles, especially in the streets, calling out someone else's record, even if it's to defend yourself, raises eyebrows.
Yeah, I say that on the phone, like, "Yo, you nigga, why you on the phone?" I'm like, "Oh, because you know them calls is recorded." Yeah. So they like, "Man, what the you?" Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, I'm like, man." I started crying for a second, and I hung up the phone.
So, is that snitching? Well, some like 600 might say yes, because, technically, he revealed that his brother had a criminal record, even if indirectly. But from Loose Cannon's perspective, he wasn't trying to get his brother in trouble or cooperate with the authorities against him. He was just trying to clear his own name and avoid being punished for something he didn't do. In his eyes, it wasn't snitching, it was self-defense. The situation with Eddie Boy escalated. Loose Cannon's lawyer observed Eddie Boy on his phone and suspected he was recording. She alerted the judge, who had Eddie Boy escorted out to check. He wasn't recording and was allowed back in. Loose Cannon's past online activity was also brought up. Prosecutors are using his claims of being an enforcer and his comments about people's families against him. They even asked Eddie Boy if he wanted to press charges for those comments. But Eddie Boy said, "No, I don't need to. Loose Cannon is being accused of lying about fights in jail, which prosecutors say never happened. He's also accused of not being truthful about his gang affiliation. Some are saying he's not really a rolling 60. Loose Cannon and his associates deny these allegations. The fight outside No Jumper with JRE was brought up as evidence of Loose Cannon's violent tendencies. The prosecution is using this to argue that he shouldn't be released back into society. The situation with Eddie Boy escalated. Loose Cannon's lawyer observed Eddie Boy on his phone and suspected he was recording. She alerted the judge, who had Eddie Boy escorted out to check. He wasn't recording and was allowed back in. Loose Cannon's past online activity was also brought up. Prosecutors are using his claims of being an enforcer and his comments about people's families against him. They even asked Eddie Boy if he wanted to press charges for those comments. It's crazy how things change. Loose Cannon and 600 used to be on the same team, exposing others. Now, 600 is calling Loose Cannon a liar. This shows how quickly life can come at you, especially when you're living a fast life. All of Loose Cannon's enemies seem to be stuck in the past, relics from the 60s, and that's not just a coincidence. It highlights a harsh and sobering truth about gang culture. It's a cycle that refuses to evolve, built on old grudges, outdated codes, and empty promises. People often think gangs provide a sense of safety, a place to belong, like a brotherhood. But the reality is far more brutal. There's no peace here. No true protection. What you find, instead, is betrayal, violence, and a life filled with constant paranoia. Loose Cannon's story isn't some fictional drama crafted for entertainment. These aren't just characters on a screen. They're reflections of real people, real communities, and real consequences. The pain is authentic. The danger is real. And perhaps the most tragic part is this. The very gang he dedicated his life to, the one he believed in, is the one now turning on him. That's the dark irony. Loyalty in this world is often one-sided. The idea of brotherhood, often nothing more than a myth used to keep people trapped in a cycle of destruction. There's a powerful lesson hidden here. It's not just a cautionary tale, it's a wake-up call.